talk about to remain prayerful and to remain calm. And the reason I say this is that some prominent Nigerians, church leaders, traditional rulers, and high net worth stakeholders are saying that though there are several infractions, the outcome of the election is the way God wants it, and it should be allowed. So on one hand, you are saying remain prayerful and calm, but we'll still go to court. Others are saying for the peace of Nigeria, remain prayerful, calm, and accept this as God's will. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I'm very respectful to prominent Nigerians, especially church leaders, traditional rulers, and all that. And I remain very respectful to them. And I think they should be respected for what they represent in our society. But I disagree with them. What they're actually preaching is the problem of Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria is accepting wrongdoing, accepting what is unacceptable. That is using God's name in vain. That's not what God said. God said, do not use my name in vain. So what they're saying is not God's wish. It is not God's plan for Nigeria. So why don't we accept that the 133 million Nigerians who are poor is God's wish? Why don't we accept that 95 million Nigerians living in absolute poverty is God's wish? It is God's wish that we don't have electricity. It is God's wish that our children are kidnapped. It is God's wish that we have collapsed primary health care, leading us to be the country with the highest infant mortality. It is everything happening is God's way. Not so what God says. No. God's wish is when you do the right thing. And in the end, it is not. This election was predicated and planned. And we have clear laws about the conduct of the election. If it was followed, if these results were uploaded from the booth, polling unit, like they said, to the server and everything, we won't be here, we won't be talking about it. It would have been concluded in a matter of hours without anybody arguing about it. But it is not God's wish that you do the wrong thing. It is not God's wish that you go and rob a train and make money and start sharing it. It is not God's wish. This is what is killing the country. People come here, take public money, and then go and give it to people in the church and they say it's God's wish, and start giving them title in the church, title in this. That is what we are fighting. That's what we want to stop. We want God's wish to be truly God's wish. And that is when we do the right things and God gives his blessing. What we are doing now is why they come. What do you tell the young ones growing up? That is God's wish that you steal? That is God's wish that you conduct a wrong election? So tell me the difference between those of us who are doing this and the armed robbers. What is the difference between us and the trained robbers? Let's be sincere with ourselves. That's why it's God's wish that somebody came to your station and said he knows a governor who have 22 billion naira stacked, and nobody's asking about him. But we are stopping young people who are carrying computer and questioning them and calling them names. That's not God's wish. God wishes something better. What I want is God to allow us to do the right things so we can start building a better country for our children.
All right. And for making Southern presidency possible, you are his hero. Festus Keyamo, spokesperson of the APC, also waded into the matter and said, in fact, that you have served your purpose in this electoral process, that the purpose that you were to serve was to help make Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu president-elect. That's his own reading of it. He says, because without you stopping the PDP in their traditional states, Bola Tinubu will not have emerged as president-elect. Number three, Reno Omokri, who is a spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party, says, well, APC may have rigged, but that Mr. Peter Obi was the perfect rigger in that election, and that you rigged in the Southeast. that he is surprised that a candidate will be reporting 97% of the votes from certain states of the Federation. Of course, Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the PDP himself, had admitted that your leaving the PDP hurt his chances in that election. What do you say to these general comments on your presidential race?
Well, Ruben, my first reaction generally is that I contested the election. I wasn't contesting it to help anybody to win. And I continue to say that even the declared winner did not win. You might have been declared by whatever means, but you've not won the election. Ruben, to win is to win the people. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. That means if you must win the people. But if you don't win the people, you've not won. And I can tell you, the last election, the declared person did not win. However, that is what we're challenging. The rascality is what we're challenging.
Because he says he's been reaching out. Has he reached out to you? Have you spoken? That's number one. Number two will be, what would you say about now the ethnic strife that has resulted in just the governorship contest in Lagos? They are now pitching the Igbos against the Yorubas. And second, what would you say about people that are saying some people are too young to be governors in Lagos because they're just 40 years of age?
Well, thank you, Rufai. You know, first that I've always said that the APC presidential candidate is an elder brother. I can even call him a father. And I have all respect for him and everything. I've not been opportune to speak with him. You know, I don't have any issue with him. I respect him and I'll continue to do so. I'm only challenging the process in which he was declared winner. Because that process is wrong. And that process must be corrected. I believe that the things must be done rightly. We must follow the law, rule of law. We must have a society where things are done in a decent, organized manner. Especially as we're trying to build this new nation that will be exemplary and the world will take us serious and respect us.
The video clips that we've just seen are from Peter Obi's interview that everyone is talking about. I told you people that Peter Obi believes strongly that he won the presidential election of Nigeria that was held on February 25, 2022. And I have done a video where I showed you that even though Peter Obi is occupying the third position on the result sheet of the Independent National Electoral Commission for now, the man will come from that position and will be declared winner by the Supreme Court of Nigeria when the valid votes of the presidential candidate of All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and the presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, are finally tabulated. Peter Obi will be found to have scored the majority of valid votes cast in the election, because all the unmerited votes of Tinubu will be cut away, and all the unmerited votes of Atiku Abubakar will be cut away, and what will remain will be the valid votes. And that is when people will now realize why a person who is occupying the third position now is going to occupy the first position. And from the clips you saw, you could see the determination on the face of Peter Obi to go at any length, legal, to prove that he won the election. I know that many Nigerians have lost hope in the judiciary. But a man of Peter Obi's conviction can achieve anything. They say that never in the history of Nigeria has the Supreme Court ever overturned a presidential election. So based on historical evidence, the Supreme Court of Nigeria has always upheld petitions, always upheld the result of presidential election. Perhaps that was why Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC chairman, hurriedly declared Tinubu winner of the presidential election, hoping that there is nothing that is going to change that particular verdict. But I can tell both Yakubu and the ruling All Progressive Congress that they did not take into consideration the tenacity and stubbornness of Peter Obi. When he contested governorship election in Anambra State for the first time, that was his first time of dabbling into politics. Nobody gave him a chance. Even those who rigged the election, they thought that it could never be overturned. They have all the levers of power. They have the riches of the Supreme Court, the security agents, and what have you. But with his tenacity, stubbornness, based on his strong conviction that he won that election, he pushed on for 3 years. And Peter Obi was vindicated by the Supreme Court. And he emerged governor. And he became the first governor in this dispensation to be declared governor, not by INEC, but by the Supreme Court. And he changed the history of election disputation in Nigeria. Today, there are many who benefited from that legendary path that Peter Obi followed. Adams Oshomole, Arebo Shola, Fayemi, Kayode Fayemi, many others. That is what you get. That is what you get when you are a torchbearer, a trendsetter. So those who are saying that because presidential election result has never been overturned by the Supreme Court should wait for a surprise. Because Peter Obi is in this race. You saw his face, how determined he was, how determined he is to prove his case. And I keep saying to people, there is always the first time. We are bound to witness history in the making when the Supreme Court will ensure justice, when overwhelming evidence are put before the justices of the Supreme Court, and the court will order for the certificate of return given to Asiwaju Bola of the APC to be returned and a new one issued to Peter Obi. That's the essence of history. It has to be made. It's people, human beings that make history. History is a series of activities that we do today. That is history. History is not rocket science. It is what we do today. Presidential election has never been overturned by a Supreme Court of Nigeria. But that doesn't mean that it will never be overturned. And history is beckoning on the Supreme Court to do justice based on evidence, not on sentiment that will be presented unto them. From the clip you just watched, you could see the anger on the face of Peter Obi when he was told that some religious leaders and others said that he should accept the results of the election and move on. That despite the infractions and everything else, that there is need to ensure peace in the country. To me, that would be a piece of the graveyard. And they capped it all by saying that what has happened is the will of God. Peter Obi disagreed vehemently, insisting that it is not the will of God, that the wrong thing should be accepted, or that the wrong thing should be happening to us. He said that this is not the will of God, that 133 million Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty, and that 95 million Nigerians are living on extreme poverty, or that we don't have electricity after spending trillions in that sector, or the reason why people are dying in hospitals. It is the will of God. It is not the will of God. So what he was saying in essence, it is not the will of God that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu be declared president of Nigeria in an allegedly dubious circumstance without following the due process. That is what he's saying. And he's ready to fight it to finish till the Supreme Court judge the matter. He's not going to rest. That video shows you a man with a heart of steel to ensure that the right things are done. I told people, I warn people, those who are taking Peter Obi's gentleman for granted, that they can do anything to him, trample on his right, they are in for a shocker. Nobody can beg Peter Obi out of this path he has chosen until he will see the conclusion of it. And he hopes to triumph on it. Because I told you earlier on, Peter Obi is not a frivolous man. He's not a man who will embark on a journey, who will start building a house without counting the cost. He has a plan. Because he will not have set out. Because he is also a man of faith. If you watch the full interview, you talk about where they asked him about his governor, Soludo. He said he keep on praying for Soludo. I pray for him all the time because he's my governor. Because if he does well, it will also be well with me because I live in our nation. That's what he said. He's a man of prayers. And you better be careful with a man of prayers. You better be careful with a man of prayers and who believes strongly that God's will and purpose for him is for good and not evil. So Peter Obi is well armed spiritually, physically, intellectually, and financially to go to the whole hog to ensure that the right thing is done about the February 25, 2023 presidential election. And you can see where he was emphatic. He wasn't joking about it. He said that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu did not win the election. You could see it from his face and conviction that Tinubu did not win. He meant it with all of his heart. He was not playing politics. What you saw was vintage Peter Obi on display. And Tinubu and INEC must show how Tinubu won following the due process that was set by the Electoral Act 2022, the INEC guidelines for the election, and the most important of all, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. You could see from the video that he was also clear that he has nothing personal against Tinubu. He's only challenging the process that declared him winner. He even called him his respected elder brother. It is not about Tinubu, he said. It is about the future of our children, the future of our country. What are we teaching them? That wrong is right, so that there will be peace. That will be peace of the graveyard. And he was on point on that. So you can see that this man is determined to prove that he won. And nobody can talk him out of it. I can tell you for free, nobody will talk Peter Obi out of this. Nobody will go and plead with him in the interest of whatever. This process, he must complete it. The Supreme Court must give the verdict. He can't step down out of this process. And for those like Reno or Mokre, like Festus Keyamo, and all of those who are saying that Peter Obi was in the race to help Tinubu. Even Soludo alluded to that in that his letter he wrote earlier on in the campaign. They are in for a shock. Those who think like that, they are in for a shock. Because Peter Obi will not give up until he proves his case that he is the rightful winner of the election. Perhaps when the Supreme Court declares him winner, that is when it will become clear to some people that Obi ab initio was in the race to win it and not there for anyone except for himself, so that he could be the man who laid the path, the foundation for a new Nigeria. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you.